International break is done and we are back. The Toffee Blue boys are back in the house. Can't wait to hear you in the comments as well. We have missed you. International break over. We have an Everton match. We're away. Aston Villa versus Everton. And we have got a fan clash. Of course we've got a fan clash. So we have got a Villa fan on the show. We're going to get some flow. I'm going to get some rivalry going, ain't it, Paul? How are you, Paul? You right?
Not too bad. I'm injured. I'm very much like a DCL. I fell off a wall on Sunday, so I've got a bad arm, I've got a bad back, and I turned my ankle playing football on Wednesday. So probably out till Christmas, really.
It's nothing. It's nothing. You've told me on the channel you'll run through brick walls for Everton, so I'm sure you can manage this. I did hear that you scratched your back. I seen it on your movie channel. I did see it. And I was thinking, what is he doing? I don't know what he's doing, but it's what we do. It's what we do. But did you do anything today? Because today is Friday the 13th, everybody.
Stayed in all day. No, I didn't.
Yeah, same. Well, I didn't risk it. I literally I locked myself in a dog cage. Friday the 13th. I ain't risking it. Right, so let's get into it then. Let's get into it. A bit of talk, but let's get into business. Let's get him in the ass. We've had him on before. He's a cracking guy. So we'll have to get him on again. Of course we have. Let's give him a bit of build up. We have a Villa fan in the house, people. How are we doing, Nick? You all right?
Hello, mate. How are you? A bit worried the sound wasn't working then. You both okay?
All good, mate.
Yeah,
all good.
Really good. Ready for this game. It's a big game for us. I don't know if it's a big game for you. Well, it's a big game for you, the form you're in. How are you feeling? 3 games in? How are you feeling?
Yeah, sort of probably quite happy in terms of where we are at the moment. I think when you looked at the fixtures that were sort of released early on, West Ham away, first game of the season. We've never won at the new West Ham ground. So 3 points down there was more than welcome. Arsenal at home was a bit of a tale of what could have been, really. We should really have probably gone on to get something out of that game if Watkins had got his shooting boots on. And then Leicester away, another sort of difficult place for us, and we got the 3 points there. So if you'd have offered me 6 points after the first 3 games, I'd have been more than happy with that, to be fair.
Yeah, I think you're doing all right. I have noticed that some games are probably, when I've looked at Villa, I thought because Villa are strong, by the way. They are strong. We haven't spoke since last season. You had a really good season, good finish. You got where you wanted to finish. You're in the big boy competition now. You're exactly what you wanted, where you wanted to be. And you've got a strong team, haven't you? Was you happy with the transfer window?
Yeah, I think for us, obviously losing Dougie Luiz was probably a big thing at the time. But the biggest thing for Villa this year was trying to get depth. Our bench last season was pretty weak, to be fair. It was a mixture of sort of kids and then players that, you know, when they come on would sort of fill the numbers in but not really have much impact. Whereas this year we seem to have strengthened with, you know, the likes of, and I know it's an ex-Everton boy, but the likes of Ross Barkley. You know, you're only as good as your bench, and we've actually got players now that we can bring on that, like at Leicester, came on and had an impact. Emery's been making his subs earlier on in games, and it gives him that opportunity to sort of change the tactics up a bit earlier on. So, you know, pleasantly surprised. A few random signings. Obviously, I think the Dobbin one, which I'm sure we'll get onto, was a bit of a weird one. Not going to see him now; he's going out on loan. And then we also brought in the lads from Juventus in replace of Luiz, and we're not going to see them because they've gone out on loan as well. So it's been a bit of a weird one, but I think there's one eye on PSR, which I hate talking about, and I also think it's one eye on sort of players that have got saleability sort of further down the line.
Yeah, we did speak on the Timo Robertson and the Dobbin thing, and I did say to you I was really, really excited about Timo Robertson. I really was, and you wasn't as excited about Dobbin. And probably rightly so, because with what's happened, you moved him on, so even more so now. It was a lot of people were saying it was a PSR thing. For us, I didn't feel like it was a PSR thing because I said to you straight away, he sounds with what you said about him. I know he hadn't played for you much, but with what you said about him, I was thinking, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. He was going straight into my midfield, this guy was. And it looked like he wasn't getting a chance in your midfield, but you kept saying to me, he's got massive potential. Everyone speaks about him highly, but he's just not met his potential yet. But he's come to Everton, and I'm very, 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 very happy with him. I do like him.
Yeah, I think I said to you, funny enough, I actually think everything sort of came off when the last time we spoke. I said that, Dobbin was coming our way, Eric Burnham was going to you, and I also said that I wouldn't be surprised if Onana ended up at Villa, and I think it was like a week or so later it all came off. But as I said before, we've got a lot of respect for Tim, and I do think, he's one of those, if he's looked after and he's given regular football, he's just going to keep progressing. Unfortunately for Villa, unfortunately for him, he was at Villa at a time where there's been a lot of managerial change. You've got to think that, Dean Smith earmarked him as a player in the youth team. Dean Smith ended up moving on. We then had the poison dwarf from the red half of Liverpool, which we're not going to talk about, came in and pretty much ruined the Villa, and Eric Burnham was sort of around the periphery of the team. And then when Emery came in, like I've said before, I can't really sort of talk highly enough about Emery. And unfortunately, it just wasn't a player to fit in his system regularly. And with the midfielders that we've brought in over the last 2 years, unfortunately, it was just a case of having to move him on. He had his moments for Villa. Obviously, I think I've alluded to when he played against Ajax away in the Conference League. He was sort of thrown in the deep end and had a real solid performance. But when we've got like Tielemans, we've got Boubacar Kamara, Jacob Ramsey, it was just at the time he wasn't really going to get enough game time. So I think he's made the right decision, and I just hope he goes on to have a good career with you guys.
The talk, I mean, I put it on the cover. It's like, I know they're different players. They are different players. And it was said in the Everton press, it's Irabunum versus Onana. And we all know the reasons, because like you've got Onana who's gone to you from Everton, and you lot really do rate Onana, don't you? And by the way, I always spoke about Onana highly. Us Everton fans, I don't feel we connected with him. I don't feel he fitted with us that well personally. Yeah, I said a few things about saying that our tactics are bad, this, that, and the other one. He's gone to you. Onana, you happy with him? We've got to bring him up.
Yeah, I think similar to what you've said in terms of like Tim doing so well for you guys. Onana's sort of come in and fitted in really well in terms of the way that Emery sets his team up. I think that might be part of the reason why maybe it didn't work out at Everton. You will obviously know more than me because you watch them every week, but he's really fit into the system that we've got under Emery. With Kamara being out, he's sort of been more of a sort of CDM role. Pretty much man of the match in all 3 games so far for the Villa. Can't really fault what he's done. Obviously, getting the goal against West Ham, the goal against Leicester, had a good game against Arsenal as well, which, as I said earlier, I feel like we could have got something out of that game. And I just think he's sort of the strength in midfield that we've missed a little bit. And I don't know if that's a different way to the way he played for you guys, but he's been very sort of up and down the pitch, winning tackles in rough places. He's actually added an extra layer to our back line, which has made the sort of 2 centre halves look a little bit more comfortable, because the end of last season we were looking a bit ropey at the back. We are still conceding goals, which again I'm sure we'll talk about in a bit. But I've been really impressed with him, and sort of long may it continue really, because we've needed somebody that's got an engine in midfield to sort of support the players we've got around us. Kamara's obviously been out with an ACL. He's just coming back into training. On paper, he's my favourite midfielder. Tielemans at the end of last season was really, really strong. But we've just needed somebody who can sort of, you can rely on them to just do a bit of the work, the aerial work in the middle of the park as well. And it's actually provided more space for the likes of Tielemans and other midfielders around him.
You took that on the screen, Paul. According to Tim, young players don't get much of a direction from Dyche. I think Onana needs that. You've got a good manager. One thing I will say about Onana, I think he's got everything, but did I often see everything? That was the problem. I felt like in games sometimes he could have done so much more. But the way he started for you, he's probably playing the best he's ever played in those first 3 games. Whether he's going to continue, that's you as a Villa fan. I think that's what you're thinking now. You're thinking, yes, you set the bar really high, but you've got to keep that bar now. And sometimes he was for us. He had those sort of games for us that he's having for you now. But he seems to be hot and cold. Would you say that, Paul? He was a bit hot and cold at times. Ability, definitely, but
yeah, I think Onana is one of those players you can see in sort of a top six side. Do you know what I mean? Not that he's he's absolutely out of this world or anything, but the way those teams would sort of keep possession and try and break down sides, they're the sort of teams I can see him in. I don't think he totally bought into what we had to do in terms of trying to survive and everything else. Maybe we didn't play him in his best position, for example. Maybe there were other people like Garnegay who would maybe play in that position more so and do better. So maybe we didn't utilize him as well as we could. But I think probably what got on people's nerves a little bit was when he came, we were dead happy with him because he was giving all the fist bumps and everything to the Gladys Street. But the way we were playing as a side and him included wasn't. We just felt he could do so much more, and he never really did that. I think he'll do great with you, and then whoever he goes on to after you, I think he'll carry on doing well, have a good career. But I don't think he fancied it in the bottom half of the table, fighting it out every week, to be honest.
Yeah, I think in terms of speaking for ourselves, really, I think again it might be to do with like managerial wise who you got at the time. I think it's no knock at Dyche in that, you know, I don't actually mind the bloke, but I can't really compare him to Emery in terms of, you know, Emery's career, what he's done. He's gone into a lot of clubs that aren't always the most fashionable club within their league. I think he gets a lot of unfair flack for his time at Arsenal. I think when you actually look at it statistically, he actually did do really well there. But again, might be the sort of the fan base themselves down at Arsenal were expecting him to just take over from Wenger and carry things on. Similar to what happened with Moyes when he took over after Ferguson. He's taken over after somebody that's been a manager for so long. I think it was always going to be tricky. He wasn't the greatest of squads down at Arsenal at the time. But I can honestly say virtually every single player that's come into Villa or players that are already at Villa, he's made a massive difference in terms of improving the way they play. We were sort of slated by a lot of people when we signed Morgan Rogers. Now, I could literally do a whole hour talking about Morgan Rogers. I'm very biased towards him. But when we bought him in for like 8-9 million, we had people like, what they're doing, a team that's on the up buying a player for this amount. He's the first name on the team sheet at the moment. And again, that's testament to Emery. And I think that's why I think Onana's fitted in well, because he's got top caliber midfielders around him. And in terms of coaching and development, I don't think he's going to get much better than what he's got at the moment until he would perhaps get a move to another club that's higher up than Villa.
He has got ability, but I did, and we'll have a little bit of rivalry banter on here. I did watch him against Onana and it's not just an Onana conversation. We're getting into the lineups and the teams in a minute, but we will just talk about the highlighted players of this game, which we are the topics, ain't they? Onana, Rabunum, and I was watching Onana in the Belgium, and he's doing what he did for Everton sometimes. Like, you know, when you're in the midfield, and this is talking tactics, but when you're in the midfield and you're thinking, move a bit more, like go into a position that's a bit dangerous because you're wanting to receive the ball next to the player where the player's there anyway. If you're only a couple of yards away from the player, why are you just there? Move into different positions. And I did watch him, and I did think to myself, he smashed it at Aston Villa, and Onana's always been one that I've rated, and I think he's got all the ability. But I just thought, you know what, you could have done more against France when I watched him. So I did watch him to see what he's going to be at us. But Rabunum, I'm telling you, he is easy like a your bloody Toure. And I don't care who comes at me now getting excited. He is a player. Like, he's a live wire. Where sometimes I thought Onana was lazy. Rabunum's just, he loves footy, and he'll run past the player. He'll get the ball under position, and he loves to turn on a player. Do you know where you receive the ball? He loves to go shoulder to shoulder. See you later. I'm going to go past you. He loves the 1-2s, and he's a player. Like, honestly, I can't believe I might be over the top about it with Rabunum, but he is. I can't believe how incredible he is. I honestly do feel like he's a 30-40 million pound player signing. Where we sold Onana to you for 50 million, we've got Rabunum where I'm liking him as much, if not more, at the minute. And I know that's crazy to say because Everton have lost 3-0 against Brighton, 4-0, and then we let a game. I'm not even going to talk about the last game, but I know it's crazy to say, but he has been the highlight of Everton. If you were to say to us, who's been your best player, Rabunum has been fantastic in all the pre-season games. and he's been fantastic in all the Premier League games. He's miles above any player that we've got. Would you agree with that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a cracking start. The whole Tobin Irabunum thing, we all thought that it was just a money thing, and he'd be a young lad, he'd be in the squad, won't play much, and it looks as though we've got the better deal, to be fair. But he really has stepped up, and I mean, he's got the same kind of build as Onana as well. If anything, he's probably 2 or 3 years behind Onana in his development. So it's worked out really well for us, because I think we've got a really promising young player.
Yeah, I think I sort of said to yourselves before, in terms of prospect-wise, he was listed by several people within the club. I'm fortunate to know enough people who sort of work up there that as an academy prospect, he was one of the brightest ones that was seen as coming through under Smith and Gerrard. I just think for both clubs, it's actually worked out as a really good deal in terms of what we're both after at the time. And I think Onana's almost playing that slightly different role in that, again, and it's no slight at your team and who you got in midfield. I just think with the likes of sort of Tielemans, McGinn, Jacob Ramsey's coming back into full fitness, who for me is arguably one of our best players when he's fully fit. And then the sort of form of Morgan Rogers, it's also given Onana a little bit more space and a bit more time. He hasn't had that pressure as such to have to do everything, because he's got players around him that are doing an equal amount of work. And what I have noticed in the first few games, if you go back and watch the highlights from the West Ham game, when you were saying about getting in the right spaces, I've never seen a player with so much space. And I actually said to the guys who were around me when we went down there, West Ham need to put somebody on him, because he's got literally like 20 yards all around him. But then the more I watched the game back when I got home, he was finding those spaces himself, and it was almost like Tielemans would tuck in. If Tielemans pushed forward, McGinn would drop in. And I really think they're buying into this system that Emery is trying to use, in that there's always that one midfielder that always seems to have a lot of space, unless somebody's going to press them, which nobody's really done to us so far. Even Arsenal showed a lot of respect and was sitting back a little bit, and it gave us the likes of sort of Morgan Rogers to attack them. It's just sort of suited us perfectly. It's a lot of money, I get that, but then I think we're sort of at a point where we're able to sell players for big money, and the fact that we've done that has given us the allowance to be able to look at bringing in somebody like Onana. I think our worry was if we lost Louise, we weren't going to bring anybody in, or if we did, it was going to be a cheap deal or whatever else, and the wheels could come off. But the fact that we got Kamara for free, which is still in itself, it's the only thing that Gerrard did at Villa that I actually respect him for. Other than that, I can't stick with him. But the fact that we brought Kamara in for a free, Tielemans for a free, and then you bring Onana in for 50 million, when you spread that across the three, I don't mind the fact that we've paid that little bit more for him.
No, it's good business. Tielemans is a really good player that we're going to have our eyes on here. Right, so let's get into it. What we do on Toffee BLUECAST is we talk. We've had a little talk there. We've had a little build up. We're going to do a lineup. So we're going to ask Nick what he thinks the lineup's going to be. We'll chuck it on the screen. Then me and Paul will do a joint lineup. We want you in the comments. Get involved. This is for you. Get involved. Put your lineups in the comments. We'll read your lineups after our lineups, and then we just finish on score prediction. That's the system. Have you got the lineup thing there, Paul?
Yeah, just give us a moment.
I might have it myself. You got it?
Yeah.
So who, first of all, before we chuck your lineup on the screen, who have you got out? Because I forgot that you've got Ross Barkley. Is he available?
Yeah, he is. Bit of a crazy one, really. The fact that I think people forget that he was at Villa just a few years ago, really, and actually did all right when he first came to us on loan, and then it was sort of towards the end of that period of time that it sort of dropped off a little bit, and then obviously coming back in after the season he's had at Luton, it's somebody that I'm really pleased to have within the squad. I wouldn't be surprised if he is involved at some point on Saturday, simply because, again, I can't believe I'm saying it, but we've got Champions League football on Tuesday, which still doesn't seem right, and I'm still sort of pinching myself a little bit. But in terms of lineup for me, if you're ready for me, I think Martinez, absolute no-brainer, will start in goal. Favourite player. If he's not starting, I'll be absolutely gutted. Left back's a really interesting one. We signed Ian Maatsen in pre-season, had a really good season at Dortmund. We spent, I think it was about 37.5 million on him. Obviously, know he's going to be a really good player for Villa. But last season we had Alex Moreno and obviously Luca Digne, who played for yourselves before. And Moreno was looking like he was going to be first choice this year. Had a bad injury and never really sort of recaptured his form. So Luca Digne really stepped it up. And to be honest with you, I'm not saying it because I'm just talking to you guys. He's been really consistent for Villa. And the last 12 months, he's probably been the one player that stood out in terms of consistent effort. So I do think we'll probably start with Lucadinho at left back tomorrow evening. In terms of centre halves,
is this formation all right for you? Sorry, I forgot to ask you. Formation, is that formation okay for you?
Well, if I was managing, that's exactly what I'd be going with. So yeah, we'll stick with that. And then centre half, we'll go Pau Torres. I can't see him not playing. Bit of a Rolls Royce of a player. Has got the odd mistake in him, but it tends to be when he hasn't got that protection. And that's what I was saying about Onana. I think he's really sort of helped in terms of just adding an extra layer, an extra bit of height in front of him. Ezri Konsa, I believe, is going to be fit to play. Thankfully, I was a bit worried about that. That's one area that, as a Villa fan, I thought we might have strengthened in the window, looking at getting another centre half in. Diego Carlos is a bit hit and miss. Right back, I believe Matty Cash is still out at the moment. Don't think he's fully fit, and also Leon Bailey on the right hand side is out. So that's one side of the pitch that you guys can try and have a go at. In terms of starting,
we always score against us, so I'm really glad about that.
It's just typical, isn't it? I think in terms of right back, I would really like to see the young lad given a go. They gave Lamar Bogard a start against Leicester, and he found it quite tricky. I actually think he'll stick with Bogard, so you can put him in. But if I was managing, not that I am, and this is why Emery gets paid the big money, I really like the look of the young lad that we've got, the 18-year-old Serbian, Adnan Elkovic. Now, a lot of fans won't know much about him. Came from Red Star. He's come in and just in pre-season alone, and he's played in the international break recently. But I say he's 18 years old, and he was marking Nico Williams against Spain, kept a clean sheet, and was absolutely phenomenal. And I think that's somebody you're going to see start to get in the Villa squad as the season goes on. And that's another area that I would have liked to see us strengthen in the window. The two holding midfielders, for me, it's got to be Onana and Tielemans still. The two of them together have been absolutely superb. Obviously know each other's game, playing for Belgium. Really sort of dovetail together well in midfield for us. So that's what I'd go with in those two positions. Then when it comes to the next three, it's a really difficult one because we seem to all of a sudden have so many midfielders. We don't know what to do with them all. Whilst I think he might have one eye on Young Boys Burn on Tuesday, they are bottom of the league in Switzerland at the moment. So I think he will go full strength tomorrow. So I think he'll go in that sort of advanced midfield role. I think he'll go with John McGinn. I don't know whether it'll be central or to the left, but we'll go McGinn in the middle at the moment. And then on the left-hand side...
sorry to jump on you. Do you think that the international will take anything out on your players? So just going on what you're saying there.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. I think, we look at the Belgian players that, they played France the other night, but they played Israel a couple of weeks before, a week or so before, and it was a bit of I sort of watched bits of it just because the Villa players were involved. I don't think it will take too much out of them. If it does, this is what
I only asked that because your three centre midfielders I did watch in the international. I watched Belgium, and I did watch Scotland, obviously, as well. McGinn played. They were both three, played quite a lot of international football, didn't they? So probably won't. Probably just keep them fit.
If you can call it football at Scotland, then it's pretty much walking around the pitch, isn't it, for 90 minutes? Sorry if you're Scottish. Left-hand side for Villa, probably my favourite outfield player by a mile. I actually have the fortune of sort of teaching his younger brother, so that's why I've got a lot of time for him. But Morgan Rogers, I can't talk highly enough of the kid. Just absolute star in the making. To get him for the amount that we did, Middlesbrough fans were saying they'd sort of pulled our trousers down a little bit for spending what we did. The kid already looks like he's 5, 6, maybe even more times worth what he is in terms of what we paid. Very fleet of foot, very direct.
Twice as well for under 21s in the week.
Yeah, draws fouls. The one thing I'd like to see, hopefully, from him in the next few weeks is a couple of goals, because he's doing everything apart from finding the back of the net. He's had a couple of chances where he sort of either mishit it or whatever, but he just causes chaos. And if you get a chance to watch the highlights from the Arsenal game, he just ran Rice and Odegaard ragged. For a young kid to go toe-to-toe against both of those in midfield, it was a real standout performance. Right-hand side, this is where there might be a bit of shift across these three. I'm not sure what order they'll play them in. If he's fully fit, I'd really like to see Jacob Ramsey playing. Again, I'm not sure which side it'll be for each of them, but I'd just put Ramsey in there for now. I'm sure they can fight it out amongst themselves. Just go proper attacking.
Is he a winger? Would you say he's a centre midfielder or a winger, Ramsey?
More of a winger for me. He's good at carrying the ball out of the sort of defensive third into midfield and bringing the ball away, but he is more of a wider player. I think McGinn, you can't put McGinn back out wide, really. They've played him in there before, but I just think the pace that we get from Ramsey and Rodgers with the overlap of Digne, straight away you're causing trouble. And then up front, this is a really hard one because I'm a massive Ollie Watkins fan, and anybody who's watching this probably go, he's nuts for saying this, but the only reason I'm saying it is I don't think Watkins is fully fit. I'm led to believe, I may be wrong, I'm led to believe that he hasn't actually trained that much this week. He's still got a niggle, and that's why he pulled out the England squad. Lives just up the road from me, so I should have gone and knocked on the door to find out before tonight. But there's been a little bit of a clamour for John Durant to be given a start, because after all the story of him potentially moving during the summer, he's answered his critics in terms of what he did and the whole West Ham symbol by scoring at West Ham, scoring a cracking header, which turned out to be the winning goal against Leicester. And then he's done well in the international break for Colombia as well. So I've got a feeling you might see John Durant start tomorrow. I might be wrong again, but I'd go with Durant up top.
I've seen a lot of conversation on Durant. Obviously, Watkins, as everyone says, Watkins is on fire. Watkins is on fire. That's the big talk. So if he's fit, you would probably say Watkins is in. But you've got good competition there, haven't you? You've got two good strikers, so I can see why you don't know who to put in. And the different strikers as well. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Durant is very raw. I think the biggest thing with him is he's not been advised very well in terms of the stuff that he's done. The Instagram posts, for anybody that didn't see them, it looked like he was trying to force a move to go to London. I don't think he likes the fact that he's been on the bench as much as he has, but when you've got Ollie Watkins scoring the goals he scored for us last season, it's very hard to displace someone when they're an only striker. But you've only got to listen to the way the club have spoke about him, and the fact that this week they've been saying that, we've had X amount of teams have been after him. We really value this kid highly, and we know that he can go really far. And I think Durant hopefully is starting to see that a little bit. He's one of these where if he has a sulk, he deletes everything off social media, and then he scores a goal, and then everything's back on there again. So he's just one of them that you've got to kind of, I think we've got to remember he's still only 20 years old, but his adaptability in terms of finishing, he causes chaos. Liverpool last game of the season last year, comes off the bench, scores one, and then gets a lucky deflection for the second. But the 5 minutes he was on ultimately got us that extra point that got us the Champions League football. So he's got ability, and I just kind of want to hope that he can still harness it the right way. If you had to say who's fully fit and who's going to play, I'd always go with Watkins, but I genuinely don't think he's going to start tomorrow. I've just got this feeling Durant might get the nod.
No, he could do. It's going to be interesting to see who does get it. Paul, I'm going to chuck this on you. This is a head-to-head, so we're going to rip into you a little bit here, Nick. And when we put our line up, and I'm pretty sure you're going to have moments to rip into us as well. So you put in front of us what you're bringing to the table. What do you think, Paul, we can get at here? Because I'm seeing, I don't know whether you know it. We've signed the new Messi. Basically, we've got the new Messi. So when you're telling me you're struggling with a right winger, and you're saying to me we probably should have got a new right winger in, and that from what you put up on your lineups, that seems to be the position that you're a little bit umming and ahhing about. We've got Messi as a left winger at the minute. Iliman Ndiaye, I tell you something, what a player we've signed there. He's good. He is really, really good. And when we played our last game, forget about the 3 goals scored at the end of the last game. For the first 84 minutes, we was actually good. And Iliman Ndiaye on the left-hand side, he can be I think his main position is 10, but Dyche is playing him as the left winger. He had their right back on strings, didn't he, Paul? And I think that could be a strength. What do you think, Paul? Do you think we could get onto that right back there?
Well, I mean, you have got a strong side. I mean, the thing about John McGinn is he doesn't look as though he would cause you a lot of problems, but he always bloody does. There's a couple of lads that are obviously young and everything and enthusiastic, and you've got pace. You've got Digne who'll want to do well against us. You've got some strong centre backs in there, a strong midfield, and annoyingly one of the best goalkeepers in the league, although he's a bit of an arse, isn't he? I would say that our left side is probably our strength, if Ndiaye plays on there, and right back, right wing is probably the weaker of a very good side. So it may be that's where we might get joy, if we get joy at all.
Yeah, well, Paul always knocks me down a peg or two when I'm on cloud nine. Well, I think the centre there, like Paul said, McGinn, he's just a shithouse, isn't he? He's everywhere.
Mm.
You know, you're in for a game for him week in, week out. He's a grafter, isn't he? Puts 110% into his job. You know for a fact he's going to be on it. He always is. So in the centre, you look. Tillemans is a player we hate to play against. He's a shoot on the edge of the box. Watch out. He'll put it in top corner if you let him shoot on the edge of the box, which we've been struggling with just lately. So that's something we've got to watch out for. Like I say, right back. Digne, we've had him. Get him going forward. He'll ping it on Duran's head, and we're in big trouble. He can put it exactly where he wants to put it. But if you get him defending, you can catch him sometimes. You can run past him. He does get that yellow card sometimes. He doesn't like players running at him. So I think your left back and your right back, if we don't get them penning us back and actually get them defending, we could probably get at you. But you are strong. Like Paul said, I do think you're massively strong there. It is a very strong team. I mean, I just spoke about Ramsey. You said he plays on the wing anyway. I didn't know whether he was playing a centre midfielder on the wing, which we've done sometimes, but I don't think you are you? He's a good winger from what you're saying.
Yeah, he's again, we're unfortunate really. I think I'm not trying to play the sob story because I know every team's had injuries and stuff, but last season I think the incredible thing in the fact that we did finish in the top 4 in the end was the fact that we lost Ramsey for practically the whole season. Tyrone Mings was out for the first game of the season through. Buendia, who was the original number 10, was out for the whole season. And then, as I say, Jacob Ramsey missed massive chunks of the season. And these are the kind of players that when we got to the semi-finals of the Conference League, we desperately needed them because we were getting leggy. We were on the bare bones. And I said about the bench earlier, it was full of kids. If we'd have had 2 of those 4 players in there, I genuinely think, we would have had enough to get to the final, maybe even win it, who knows. But it cost us. And, going into Christmas time last year, you've got to think, we beat City and Arsenal in the space of a week. And we had a couple of chances to go top of the league and always seemed to fluff it whenever we did. But Ramsey coming back is like a new signing. The kid's got bags of energy. He's a local lad. They haven't rushed him back from the injury this time. They've given him time to sort of develop. Pre-season, it was like light touch. But when he has been coming on the last few weeks, he's really starting to look like sort of Ramsey of old. And if he can get hold of the ball, I think him and Rodgers together, they've got such a partnership. They get on really well. Both young lads, both local lads. And they're exciting to watch. They get you off your seat. A lot of people will say that Bailey's a big miss. And he can be. But I've been a little bit sort of underwhelmed by Bailey so far at the start of this season. He looked like he'd really picked it back up last year. But the start of this season hasn't really done a lot. So in some ways, I'm hoping tomorrow's an opportunity for someone like Ramsey or maybe even Philogene and Bidais to come on and show what they can do.
The thing is, we was linked to Bailey, so it's always the case when we was supposed to get Bailey before you got him. He's going to smash goals in against you, and I've still got in my head where he smashed us up for you, and he absolutely destroyed us and got injured, but he destroyed us. So I'm happy Bailey isn't playing because we'd be that team that can bring him back to life from you. Not sure about him. Right, should we get our team on? Can I ask you a question before we put our team on? Do you think I'm going to put it blunt? You know me. Do you think you're playing against someone shit here because we've not had a good start? We're not as bad as what the results say. Some Everton fans are not happy, and some Everton fans are not happy with Dyche. And I promise you, I think we're better. Some Everton fans probably disagree, but I think we're better than what we said. I mean, the Brighton, we got smashed 3-0. All 3 goals was our own making. Shite by us. The next game, Spurs, I don't know what we was doing. Pickford put one on a plate to Son. There was just loads of mistakes that Spurs battered us. The next game, you want to get back on track after losing against Brighton and Spurs. For 74 minutes, we look fantastic. We're all as Everton fans are in the stadium saying, yes, we can do something now. We're okay. We needed to see this. Everything's good. We could have scored about 5 or 6 goals. And you know what it's like. You're 2-0. All the players are smiling. You're having loads of chances. And they're all smiling, thinking the game's already won. Everton being Everton. We concede one. And we absolutely poo our pants. And we don't know what to do. We're looking at each other. And then you're on edge that much that you concede another. And then we go and lose. So it was a crazy game. But my point is, for 74 minutes, we look good. So I think that we're not as bad, are we, Paul, as we're making out? But we'll see. We'll see what you come up with us. But the question is, do you think we're shit? Or how are you feeling coming into this game against us?
I mean, I've said this before, and this isn't, again, me just saying it because I'm talking to you guys. I said it to a couple of other Everton fans I spoke to the other night. In general, we have a massive respect for Everton, and there are some fans that might be different, but I genuinely mean it. You mentioned Tottenham a minute ago. Don't ask me why, but I can't stick them. Never have been able to. This goes right back to China. I don't even know why that is. But I've always seen Everton as a sort of similar team with the history, the backing of the fans. You've got the fact that going right back to the most played game in history in terms of Villa Everton, the most played league fixture. I just think you're probably going through a similar process to what we did when we had those years where we sort of circled it a little bit, and we always thought, we're always going to be okay. And before you know it, you can get sucked in. And I'm hoping to God that isn't the case this year. I just think the ownership off the pitch probably does get to the players because, I saw the other week the way that some of the fans had reacted to the players as they were getting on the coach or the train station, wherever it was where they were. And yeah, the fans have definitely got a right to say how they feel. 100%. We're the stakeholders. We pay what we do. And I just think the negativity around the club in terms of ownership has probably rubbed off on the players, and it's definitely rubbed off on you lot. I do think you're better than where you are. I mean, look at last season. Take the points deductions out of there, you're finishing comfortably mid-table. I think you're only a couple of points off Brighton. So, it can be done. But I think for me as a fan looking in from the outside, my big worry would be the comments of what Dyche came out with last week. I don't think I'd want to be hearing that. I can't imagine Emery saying what he said in terms of, I don't know if I'm making more of it than he said, but along the lines of, once Bournemouth had scored one, we smelt it coming. That's up to you to tighten things up. And as a professional squad, if you're 2-0 up with however many minutes it was left to play, the very minimum you should be coming out of it with is either conceding the one or at worst a draw. And it would worry me if my manager is saying stuff like that. I think Dyche has got a very big month or so before the next international window, because it reminds me very much of what happened with Gerrard, where he said a couple of things, he rubbed the fans up the wrong way, a couple of fans started to get the murmurs, and then before you knew it, every time we lost a game, that was building and building. So for me, he's got to pick up a couple of wins between now and that next international break, otherwise I wouldn't be surprised if they move him on.
It's massive. We've got games that we said teams that we can actually. We've got massive games coming up where you want to win and you feel like you've got a good chance to win. Right, let's chuck our team on the screen, Paul, and we'll ask Nick at the end when we put it up what he thinks the strengths and weaknesses are going to be, and then we'll get the lineups on the screen, and we'll finish with the score prediction. And the reason I said that, I like Villa, you like Everton, we know that, but I wanted to know what people think from the outside, because I generally feel that we've got some cracking players, and last season we would have finished mid-table without the points deduction. And I think this season we've added some really good players, and I do think that we're going to be okay this season, but Dyche isn't getting these players to click. And I honestly think that when we play someone, yes, we've been shit, yes, we're not doing good, and people say you're shit, you're going to be in another relegation battle, but I generally do think that we've got some really good players, and if they're used correctly, we should be okay this season. I don't think we're going to be in a relegation battle this season. Some will disagree, but I just generally think if it was mid-table last season, Dyche can get that back. And then we've added new players. Jake O'Brien, massive 6-foot centre-back who looked class for Leon. And Jai looks a proper player. Lindstrom, when he gets going, he's played for Napoli, and he was really good before Napoli. Rabunam from you, fantastic player as well. How can you add that many good players that are going to look like they're going to be really good for us and be a lot worse? It doesn't make sense to me. So I think it's 3 games in, it's going to get better for us. That's just what I think anyway. Probably what you do as a fan. You see the best, don't you? Right, Pickford in goals, Paul. Is that what we're going for?
I think so. He's still the best, isn't he?
Nick's going to come at us with this as well. When Nick picked his lineup so quick, it is not bloody easy for us to pick a lineup at the minute, I tell you. Paul, what are we going for? Left back's going to be Michelangelo.
Well,
are we sticking with
I mean, it's worth sort of saying and going off Dyche, and Eugene mentions it on here as well. Dyche says that Coleman's 50-50, touch and go, unfortunately. So that kind of doesn't fill you with confidence that Seamus will play. He said Branthwaite is on the grass, the famous saying, on the grass. But him and Pato are at the early stage of coming back. So very unlikely that either of those will play. Brozier and Schmitty are out as well, so they're not an option, although they might not have played anyway. So anyone thinking about their sides, those people are probably going to be missing. Eugene mentions Jake O'Brien. Well, that's in Sean's hands. Same with NJE as well. Is he going to play the new lads? Why buy them then not play them? You know. So just something to think about when you're picking your sides. And some people have put their things in the comments, so we'll have a look at them in a minute.
Yeah, so it's not going to be easy. I mean, Nick, we're really frustrated because we've signed Jake O'Brien, who looked good in the pre-season friendlies. He looked really good for Leon, pushing them up the table, and he looks like a proper good centre back. And Dyche has gone back to playing Michael Keane, back to his Michael Keane, played for him under Burnley, and keeps going back to him. And we're scarred with Michael Keane. We really are scarred with Michael Keane because often when we've crumbled, when bad stuff have happened, Michael Keane's been there. And sometimes it hasn't always been his fault, but he's been there. And we do feel he adds a bit of... he unsettles players around him. So sometimes he might not be the player that makes the mistake, and you can't blame him for the goal. But then you're probably thinking Tarkowski's probably unsettled because he's playing with Michael Keane and on edge because he's playing with Michael Keane. So it's hard on that for us to... This isn't easy. Right, let's put Mikalenko in, Paul. Let's just get Mikalenko in. This is why we're all stressed, isn't it? If we can get Dyche just giving us a lineup that we want, that'll be better than winning a game, I think.
That'd be a miracle, that.
Right.
Go on.
So,
well,
what are we going to do, Paul? Are we putting Michael Keane in here?
Yeah, because I think that's what he'll do. I think that's what he'll do.
Why?
Well, I don't know why.
I know.
But the thing, I think he will. I think what he'll do is that if he's going to bring O'Brien in, he's going to bring him in against one of the sides that we've got, well, a better chance of winning, rather than away at Villa. Bring O'Brien in at, either Leicester away or Palace at home, for example. I personally think he's going to play Keane and Tarks. That's what I think he'll do. It's not what I would do, but I think that's what he will do.
This just isn't fair. This is our problem. This is like why Dyche will get sacked, because I don't think Michael Keane should be playing. I really do not think that he should be playing.
So shall we put O'Brien in for the sake of our argument?
No, because we know it's not going to happen. That's what's frustrating. Dyche is just continuously playing Michael Keane. What do you think on this, Nick? How would you feel on this? Because Michael Keane for us just is very fragile. You're putting Duran up top, who I feel like would really make mistakes out of Michael Keane. Or even if you had Watkins, he would as well.
Personally, I'd be delighted if he starts, but being a Villa fan, it's the kind of player...
Exactly.
Things we're hammering, but it's being a Villa fan, and it's probably similar to what you guys say when you play other teams. It's the kind of player that he has a mare every week, and then the one time when we're expecting to win, he'll probably pull out a bloody Franz Beckenbauer performance. You just don't know, do you? But yeah, I believe Branthwaite's definitely out, isn't he, for you? Yeah, and I think
Branthwaite's on the grass, but he's not going to play.
Yeah, I think
soon.
that classic thing where you look at two squads and you say, if you could take one player from another team, who would it be at the moment? Like, that would be one that I'd take from you guys. I think Branthwaite's got bags of ability. I think it's a big loss. So for me, I'd be quite happy if Keane is starting, to be fair.
I know, that's what's not fair. That's why I am literally playing to Nick's hands here. He's like rubbing his hands like he's got a cake in front of him. Because we're putting... This is what frustrates me about Dyche, because Jake O'Brien is a unit. He's massive, and you don't want to come up against him. And yeah, he is raw, but he's done nothing wrong. And I don't get this. You need Premier League experience. You're not going to get Premier League experience unless Dyche gives it him. And if I had Jake O'Brien, Tarkowski there, I'd feel like we're solid against you. I generally would make me feel a lot better, but I've got Mark Keane there, unfortunately. I'm hoping Dyche shocks us and actually stop being stubborn, Dyche, and just change. If you want to keep the job at Everton and you want to be manager for us, just change. Right back. This gets even worse now. It's me saying we can. It's
got to be Ashley Young. Come on.
You like Ashley Young, you said last time, but
I bet. Yeah.
Would you like him now? Would you like him at 39 years old?
We loved him at Villa, and like I say, we had the good years of him, but yeah, I think the legs are going a little bit now. So the thought of Morgan Rogers and Deeney running at him, if you want to play young at right back, you're more than welcome.
Right. That's what it'd be though, because I don't think he'll play Dixon. Coleman's 50-50. Patterson's out. Who have we got left?
Just not fair.
James
really
Garner.
Isn't fair. Me personally, I would play personally, and this would be my team, and this is what frustrates me about Dyche. Just take a risk. I generally would play Michael Keane and O'Brien. Not Michael Keane. Get him out of my head. He's on to me already. I would play Tarkowski and O'Brien. I'm really happy with that. Mikalenko's been poor. He needs to step up, but I think he'll be better with two strong centre backs. So O'Brien and Tarkowski. Then I would, and I have put this out on the Toffee BLUECAST X, as you call it. I put James Garner playing right back. He played there for England under 21s and won a trophy. He's played there for us under Lampard, under Dyche the season before, and he did the job because he's fast, he's tidy on the ball, and he can just do the job in that right back position. So he played there, and he was okay. But then he played there just recently and hasn't been that okay before his injury. But I still feel James Garner would be the right man to play just until we get Patterson back as right back. That's what I feel. Especially when we've got so many centre midfield options, we can get away with putting James Garner there. And Garner is really tidy on the ball, so he's not going to lose it. If he runs down the wing as an overlap, he's going to whip good crosses in because he's got good crosses. He likes a sliding tackle. So for me, it's just, yes, I know it's not his position. Yes, it's not good to play players out of position. But I just want to win the game. And I think if you put James Garner, a young lad, against your good left winger that you're talking about, that's going to make things a lot harder for your left winger. You put Ashley Young there, he yellow carded in the first 10 minutes. I'm pooing my pants whether he's going to get a red card. And he's playing. When you play on a yellow card, you can't play to your best, can you? So I don't know. Paul, what are we putting right back? It's a lot of talk for me, but it's stressful.
Well, in Dyche's head, I can hear it. I can hear the cogs turning from here. Is that Ashley Young he's got so much Premier League experience, because we know that is a really important thing. And he's probably be up against a young lad, so he's got to use that experience and stop him from playing. So it's got to be Ashley Young. I can't see any other way he'll choose. He will play Keane and Young in that back four. It's inevitable.
That just makes the back four so bad. Put him in then. Put him in. We're going to have to. But it just makes the back four so bad, doesn't it? Put him in, Ashley Young.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Nick touched on, that because we don't. Sometimes when you don't want a player to be playing there, they end up playing well. And you think, oh, shit. You're happy, but then you think they're going to be playing there again next week. But
that would be a go.
Right. We should have put our lineups in. This is ridiculous because this is what Dyche is going to do, and this is why he could get sacked. This is not our lineup, by the way, people. In the centre of midfield, Irabunum, his idol is Yaya Toure. He's got Yaya Toure's number. He's as good. And he did say, I did put a short up, he did say that he's going to show Aston Villa what he never got to show him properly. So I'm excited to see Irabunum against Aston Villa. Who are we going next to him?
Well, you can't. You've got who won't?
Mangala won't play like what Dyche said.
No, I can't see that, to be fair. But it's a toss-up, isn't it? It's a toss-up of James Garner and Garner Gay. I would presume Garner Gay would, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll go Garner Gay. Another ex-Aston Villa player.
Well, we've got an ex.
A lot of exes.
Yeah, midfield of Villa there.
Sorry, but I was going to say, the season we went down, he was the one player that, for me, never really got the full respect he deserved, in that he was a real trier, and that team that went down were absolutely abysmal. But he's one that I think, again, we were unfortunate to have him when we did. And I think, I can't remember, did he go straight to you boys? We went somewhere else straight after us. But we've always had a lot of respect for him. So, yeah, two ex-Villa boys, and they both will get a decent reception from the Villa end. I can't see either of them getting a load of stick from the hot end.
Garner came to us from you, Similar in, I felt similar in the way, not money wise and the deal wise, but as a kind of player that Tim kind of is. You know, he just wasn't massive sort of on a massive profile or anything else. Obviously, you guys weren't doing as amazing, you know, as you are now. And so he came to us with we just got this lad from Villa, you know, no great shakes or anything. And he ends up being one of our best midfielders of the sort of the last 7 years, really, I would say.
No, he's like everything him as well when he first come. He does remind me of him. It's proper ex-players, this is, because you've got Ross Barkley, you just reminded me of. You've got Onana, we've got Garner Gay, Irabuna. So there is you've got Ashley Young as well. You've got Didier as well. Oh my days. There is proper X's going on here, isn't it? Battle of the X's. Right. On the left wing, should we go and Jai? Should we give him that spot, Paul? God,
I think so. I mean, it's kind of going to be interesting across that three, isn't it? That's a toss-up, that is, because you've got lads that can play in different positions. Basically, we've got 4 midfielders who would be five who would be filling those 3 spaces, and most of them can play in any of those 3 across the pitch. So we can do NJE on left-hand side or centre, to be honest, I would have thought.
You were saying this. On the defence, we've kind of gone with what Dyche will do. On the front, Dyche possibly could just bring Decore in that number 10 and just go McNeil on the left and Harrison on the right. Dyche has got that in him where he could just proper do that and frustrate us Everton fans. But I'm not doing that on this. No, we're going Illiman on the left, Paul, and Jai on the left. If Dyche don't play him, it's going to rattle Everton fans straight away because he was fantastic last game. He's got loads of skill. And I feel he could cause you a lot of danger. Like, he is a proper player. He's one to watch out for. I can't believe how good he is. Are we going McNeil in the 10?
I think so. I think they'll rotate. Yeah. I just think it's one of those. I think they can just switch. We said that a lot last season. You know, to try and get the best out of Harrison as well as McNeil is just switch them over every now and then just to try and mix it up. But I would say McNeil will probably, he loves to have a shot from distance. So that's the position to do it.
In the middle. So we'll go McNeil. On the right, are we giving that to Harrison? As much as he hasn't really done anything to deserve it, he is still.
I know. I mean, I like Lindstrom, but I think he's going to end up being a last half hour kind of player until he can really establish himself. So, yeah, chances are it'll be Harrison, unless we go really defensive and James Garner does right hand side in front of Ashley Young. But yeah, probably Harrison.
Yeah, we'll put Harrison in. Like I say, James Garner could be if he just wants to compact it. I mean, when we beat you in the cup, we did play 3 centre backs and wing backs, and I was thinking about that this game, but I don't think Dyche will do that. The 3 centre backs, because that actually worked against you when we actually beat you in the cup. So you was in good form then when we beat you as well, which was surprising. Striker, it's going to be Calvert-Lewin into over Beto, I think.
I think he should be. I just think he's just got a better touch. You know, if you could sort of combine in some weird way Beto's energy and enthusiasm and DCL's kind of touch and ability to hold the ball, then it'd be a cracking striker. But it's probably just going to be Calvert-Lewin at the moment.
I don't mind Beto. I mean, I've got a picture of Beto with a baseball bat waiting for him to score, because he's literally had a photo shoot with a baseball bat, and I think it's a proper badass picture, and there's nothing. I really want him to be good, and I think he has got a bit of ability, but he's a bit clumsy. So I want to get that baseball bat picture out and celebrate saying he's the boss with a baseball bat, but I don't think he'll start. Right, Nick, bring it on. Before we're going to do score predictions after this. We're going to get your lineups on quick time, and we're going to finish with score predictions. We'll blast through it. Go on, Nick. Go on. Don't. By the way, don't be nasty because you're on the channel. come at me. I love a fan clash, and I don't take anything personal. You just go in at what you're against, not us. So you've already.
Where's the weak link?
When we did the defence.
Where's the weak link?
In terms of your team,
you can name more than one.
I was going to say, take that second from top row and the row underneath Pickford. I think we'll just go with that. It's like a boy band, isn't it? Wrong direction. I feel for.
I didn't think going with that hard, mate. Bloody hell!
Got to be done, mate.
Pop the balloon. Air out of me.
I look at you. It does ring parallels with what happened with us, and I look at that back line, and I genuinely do feel sorry for you because we've been there when we've had. I mean, I could list God knows how many players. I mean, when Lescott came to us, he'd finished his career. Him and Mick were an absolute joke. They'd both given up on playing. They were there for the payday, and the players that were around them weren't much better either. So I get your frustration. I just think if we go out and play, we're at home. We've got a ridiculous record at home under Emery. He's going to be going all out to try and get these points. He said himself as well, you've got to remember the Champions League. We don't expect, we certainly aren't going to win it. If we get through to the knockout round, the playoff round, we've done well. But the way the European football works, there's no drop down now. And the way the cups are with the monopoly of Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, it's hard to win a cup over here. So, you know, the Premier League is his priority. He said that before. In terms of getting into the Champions League, it could be the top 5 that are enough this year. So, you know, we've started with 2 points per game. If we can average 2 points per game over the season, we're going to be there or thereabouts again. So I do fully expect him to go for it tomorrow. And I do think we'll have too much for that back line. I think you'll score, but I do think we'll have too much for you going forwards.
Oh, take a goal.
It's not the thing. It's not like we're in massive trouble this season because, like you look at that back line and you say, "Oh, these could get relegated." Branthwaite is incredible. Branthwaite's going to come back in, and Branthwaite. We had the second best defensive stats last season. After I can't remember who it was, but defense last season we was really, really good with Branthwaite. Branthwaite is the jigsaw piece. When Branthwaite comes back in alongside Tarkowski, they click cracking centre backs. It also then makes Mikolenko come to life because we loved him last season. So then he clicks, and then we've got Patterson maybe coming back in that right back position. The right back is a bit iffy. Cole's on his way out. But I generally think it's not as this picture. I hate. It's not as bad as that. Just us going for a patch waiting for Branthwaite to come back in to get up to speed or get in the first team. I do think we'll be good in defence when O'Brien clicks. Branthwaite is back. Then we will be keen there. And hopefully Patterson, we're just hoping he comes to life when he comes back in that right back position. But yes, we are a little bit weak if he does go with that. He doesn't have to. This Dyche doesn't, by the way. Dyche does not have to go with what me and Paul have put on the screen. He doesn't. And that's what frustrates. Right, let's get the lineups on the screen, Paul, and then we'll finish with predictions.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Let's go. Here we go. So, Robertson. Oh, come on a sec. So, Robertson has gone Pickford, Coleman. I hope so, mate. I really do. O'Brien, Tarky, Mikolenko. I mean, that's what we would choose if, you know, if everyone was fit and stuff. Carnegie and Tim in the middle, and Jai, McNeil. He's gone Lindstrom and then DCL. So I think that's generally we might have gone that if it was our choice and Coleman wasn't injured. Same formation as what we had, obviously. Mick has dropped his. Pickford, he's going Dixon. Another good shout, to be fair, on right back. Branthwaite, if he was fit. Keane, Tarkowski, Mikolenko. So he's gone 3 at the back or 5 at the back with Harrison, Irabunum, Garner, and Jai DCL. So he's gone 5-4-1. I did think about doing the 3 because we had this conversation last season, and I think we actually won there when we did a 3-5-1-1. It was in the League Cup. And I think it could work, but not with Keane and Young in there. It's bad enough as a 4. They just go missing as a 5, and we'll just be isolated and just defending our half. It just can't see it working this time, to be honest. So they're the main ones, to be fair. Tazil reckons Young is a red card waiting to happen. I mean, there's probably good money, to be honest. So that's where we are.
It does get you scared. It does get you. Hopefully, Mick, you're right. Hopefully, Daesh is keeping his cards as a surprise and he slips him in at the end and plays Branthwaite, and we all don't think Branthwaite's available. And Nick gets like, well, Branthwaite's here, and then we get to see Branthwaite. Right, so we've got, we are finishing predictions. There's just so much difference in it. It was never quick, was it? Unfortunately. Score predictions. This is where me and Nick are going to have a little headbutt and have a little battle on the channel here. What the score prediction? Here we go. Should we go? We'll go Paul first, then Nick, then me at the end, because I want to see what you two have got first. So, Paul, your score prediction is a bit more wiser than me, I think, tonight. Paul's score prediction first, then Nick's, then mine.
Right.
And goal scorers as well.
My heart says. My heart says a 2-1 win for us. But I think it's just going to be too hard for us. I don't think this is the start of our comeback, to be honest. So I would probably say a 3-0 defeat. It's brutal.
Who's scoring for them then, these 3 goals, Paul? Who's scoring the 3 goals?
I'd say probably the young lad, Rodgers. And then he'll get 2. And then what happened last time will probably happen again, where you must have someone, Nick, who's not scored for like 40 games and is a striker, but then comes on and scores after 2 minutes. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened last time.
Yeah, I think you saw my thunder.
If you go for the bad stuff, you might have about Nana.
Forgot about him.
Would not surprise me. I'm going to go. I think you saw my thunder a bit. I was going to say I fancy Rodgers to get on the score sheet this weekend, and said before, favourite player is due a goal. McGinn is heavily overdue a goal, so I'm going to go. I really want a clean sheet as well. I know the points are the points, but I really want a clean sheet. I think Emery wants to pick a few more up, so I'm going to go 2-0 better, and I'm going to go Rodgers, and I'm going to go McGinn.
Roger, yeah, against us. 2-0. You've been nice there, I feel. 2-0. Well, yeah, he could have said 10-0, couldn't he? After right, come on, let's do this. I, the Tiger, Rocky, Van Damme, Karate Kid, let's do this. The fight is in the air.
Dan's been watching Bloodsport all week.
Everything, mate. We need to get on track. And what I do feel right is a lot of Everton fans say Villa class, they've got a class manager, and you are good. And they're just saying this game we're gonna get battered by Villa. And I understand it. I am thinking, you know what? I like being the underdog. You're gonna bring it to us. The pressure's on you. This is a game that if we didn't win, we'd understand because you've got a really good team. So I like being that underdog where the pressure's on you. Let's just go for you. I'm going to go Everton to win 3-1. I'm going to go 3-1 because I think if we'll catch the first goal and you'll come at us and we'll catch another. And we're going to do this. We're going to do it. We're going to win 3-1. The goal scorers is going to be Irabunam. He's going to score against you. Everyone's going to do you. Onana's going to have a bad game. Irabunam's going to have a good game. And what's how it's going to go down. So Irabunam and Jai. And I've got another goal. And who am I going to give this one to? Irabunam and Jai and Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to give it to Calvert-Lewin. So they're the 3 goal scorers for me. Goal scorer. Tillemans is probably the one that I'm scared of for you. He just loves playing against Everton. So 3-1, I'm going for. I do fancy giving a game here. I really do. I like playing Aston Villa. We always have good games. We do often have good games. There's a lot of thrillers in this. The 4-3s and the end-to-ends and the shifters. We're winning. You're winning. And I honestly do feel we're down and we need a lift. And this could be a good game for us. I think it could be a good game for us. So what do you think on that? Do you think I've gone nuts to say that 3-1?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
well, I think you're right. I think it'll be 5:30 kickoff. It's notoriously one of those kickoff times as well that Villa have never really been good at. But I can't see you putting 3 past us. We do concede goals, but under Emery's sort of watch, it doesn't happen very often. I think last year it happened start and end of the season. You had the Liverpool game, but it doesn't happen very often. And his record at home as well. The fact that we lost to Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, I don't think we've ever lost 2 or 3 in a row under Emery in the whole time he's been here. In fact, I think we were the only team last year that didn't lose back-to-back games in the Premier League. I know we won at Leicester last week. But in terms of our home record, it just doesn't happen. So I just think we're going to have too much. I really feel that he's going to want to get the points. And what's was that?
You was on fire before we played you in the cup last time. When you were in the cup last time, you was on fire and you was like unbeaten in so many, and you was like unstoppable.
Yeah, that was a really frustrating game for us because we sort of felt that first off there was a bit of a fan protesting that there was an issue over tickets, which we've had down here again this week over different reasons.
Good.
Not many people sort of went to that game, and it just felt like, I don't want to say that Emery wanted to throw it because he's not that kind of manager, but it didn't feel like we really took that game seriously. I mean, the fact we had Robin Olsen in goal, I'd rather have, I don't know, you could put Madonna in goal and she'd do a better job.
There's another one.
I think he took it very seriously. I think he took that game very seriously. That was the best Aston Villa team I'd ever seen play against us. You was on fire and we was just on more fire. Like, it was
not night, matey, I tell you. I was going to say different.
So he's basically saying Villa was crap game, and that's the only reason we beat you. And I like to think that
wasn't the only reason.
I don't know. It's
nowhere near what we were playing in the league that night.
Yeah, I know. We're going to need you to be off it. You've got some fantastic players, and if all your players play the best, we're going to be in trouble. So we do need you to be a bit off it, and we do need players to be on it. Let's chuck a couple of score predictions, and then we finish. Do you want to put yourself up before we chuck the scores on? We've had John before.
Sorry, I missed that. The line went a bit funny.
You do podcast, don't you?
Yeah, so...
yeah. You do podcast. Give yourself a plug.
Yeah, under the handle that you can see at the bottom or was sort of next to my name, at A Villa Fan Pod. So premises that we basically were a website that wrote blogs and articles about the game, about Villa, anything on and off the pitch. We've been doing a podcast every Tuesday night live over X, formerly known as Twitter, because everybody says it. But it's the premise of it, it's basically like a football phone-in. So it started off as a podcast, but we just invite people on who come on and speak live. We don't know what they're going to say, so it's a bit of a sort of trying to vet them before they come on can be interesting. But it's gathered quite a following because it's just different to other podcasts out there in that we pretty much give the voice to the fans to come on and actually speak as well as sending comments. But we talk about issues off the pitch a lot more than we do on. I was until about 2 weeks ago on the fan advisory board. You may have seen the tweet we put out because it got a huge reach. And that wasn't the reason why we put it out there. We did it basically to make a point and say that we've had enough of being fleeced. And you will see that there is a bit of a protest going on tomorrow within the Villa supporters. It's not going to be everybody behind it. Some people are against it. But it's basically a message for all football fans of all clubs, and we include Everton on this, in that we need to be really careful of what clubs are doing in terms of pricing the tickets going forwards, because whilst they can hide behind FSP and FFP and everything else, we're in danger of actually pricing out our next generation of coming and watching the teams that we love. And nothing would hurt me more than knowing that my 6-year-old, who loves the Villa already, is Ollie Watkins obsessed. In 10, 15 years' time, when he's paying for his own tickets, hasn't got the money to do it because of how expensive it's becoming. So we'd like to think that you guys will support us on that one. And one other thing I did want to quickly mention as well is, and I said this last year to you, just as always, thoughts going to be with family Michael Jones tomorrow. It's a really big tie in terms of what happened last year. We did a lot of work around trying to raise money and awareness of what happened. I had the fortune of speaking to his dad a couple of weeks after, in terms of he reached out and got in touch for what we were doing. And I'd like to think that, we didn't do anything special there. All we did was want to share the message to try and get people to raise awareness. So I'm hoping the two sets of fans can come together again tomorrow and, raise a glass for him. And then one of our legends, Gary Shaw, this week, it's come out that he's had a bad fall and he's in a coma. If anybody should be at our first Champions League tie in 40 odd years, it should be Gary Shaw. So our thoughts are with him at the moment, hoping that he can pull through.
Good player, Gary Shaw. Very good player.
Yeah, phenomenal.
We always unite on stuff like that.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure. Like I say, people will be listening, so you know what the crack is. Sometimes people don't know what's been going on, but it'll be shared, and we'll share it around. I'll look on your stuff and all that. Share it around.
I should quickly add in, sorry to interrupt as well. One thing that's just reminded me of all of this. There is another Villa fan that sort of reached out this week, and it's been on Twitter, but again, I don't know how much it's been shared out. One of our own lads who absolutely horrific story in that he lost both his mum and his dad. They're all Villa fans in the space of 24 hours, both to cancer. So there is hopefully going to be, I can't remember the exact minute off the top of my head because it's been a long day. But if you do see an awareness of a minute's applause tomorrow, that's the reason behind it. So if you are travelling down, we'd love it if you guys could get involved in that. And safe travels to anybody who's making the journey down. I'd like to think that we're a fairly welcoming club to you guys. And if we do see any of you, or see you recognise me, or we see any of you around, try and have a drink with you all, and all the best on the way back as well.
Good man, Nick.
Normally you do have like something on X of what's happened. If you put it on your page, I'll put it on the Toffee BLUECAST, and it'll get put around. And we've had people on before, and when stuff like that's happened, I'll put it around, and it gets plenty of attention, and everyone knows what's going on, and we can get behind it and stuff, and show that we'd like to show for something like that. So yeah, we'll get behind that as well. So that is what's going on, because sometimes people just don't know, do they? Because we don't care clubs. That's the good thing. So we know what's going on there. We'll get behind that. It's going to be a cracker, people. Nick, thanks for coming on. I've got to end this now.
Shall I throw these? Shall I throw these predictions
get a couple
on?
of score predictions and then I'll drop the music. Yeah, sorry.
So we got Tazul 1-1. Another Everton channel, famous AFC 2-1 win. I think are we more optimistic than we were before we started this show? I don't know. I don't know if we are, to be honest. Where are we? Getting to the other ones. Tazul said 1-1. Helen's absolute no bones about it. We're getting battered 4-0. Lulu went for a 1-1. She also said, Helen, that Anana gets a hat-trick because it's Everton. But Eugene's had his on, and Dan, what score does Eugene always go for? 4-1 every time. Yeah. Every time. No hat-trick this time. No hat-trick though. O'Brien, DCL,
Young, got like 118 energy.
Yeah, always.
Love it.
West Egg says that we always play better away from home, so you never know. Maybe it's our time. But yeah, we've just got to get a performance. So,
do you guys think that the playing away from home? I was going to ask this earlier, but in terms of playing away from home, do you think it almost takes a little bit of pressure off the boys at the moment with everything that's going on off the pitch?
Yeah, yes, it does. Especially in the times where we're on a bit of a low. Because I was saying to Dan last night, we're very much up and down. We'll lose 3, then we'll win 4, but then we'll not win in 12, and then it's ridiculous up and down. So when we're on a bit of a kind of stage, playing away sometimes does the trick, to be honest. Whether playing away against you will do the trick, I don't know.
I think our fans, our fans are a little bit hostile, and rightly so, because we've got nothing to get behind. We've got 3 games that have been shocking, so we are a little bit at home. You're sitting there and you've got nothing to get behind, and the players can feel that a little bit, and we've had nothing to get behind. When we go away, it was like that last season. I do feel when we go away, you know what it's like when you go to these away games. You're on your feet most of it. The away games are the best ones. So you see all the fans our away fans are incredible. The players don't feel as much pressure away from Goodison. When you're playing at your home ground, you feel you're at home and you've got to do this, that, and the other, because that's your home. You've got to show that you were at home, haven't you? So there is a lot of pressure when you're at home. Obviously, they should be able to do that, the professional players. But I do think on what you said, I do think we're better away from home. We probably do need to get away from it, win a game away, and then what we do then, the home fans want a bit of that. The away fans are all buzzing, we've won away, and the home fans think, right, we best make sure we're like that at home. and that's how it can catch sometimes. You probably know yourself as well. The Villa fans are hardcore when you travel away as well, so the games can help you sometimes.
Dan, just dead quick before we finish. Joe messaged this before. It's Aaliyah Capital are one of the investors from John Sexter. So those people sort of who know the business and stuff like that. Apparently, Aaliyah, they were one of the investors in Elon Musk, 44 billion taking over Twitter. So they've got a bit of cash. So that was announced on Bloomberg tonight. So we're winning a lot.
We'll be top four with you by the end of the season. Next time we have you on the channel when we play you when we're at home, we'll be talking about both finishing top four. We've got it cemented. Who's going to win the league? That's what it'll be.
Nothing would please me more than seeing teams like Villa, Everton up there and knocking some of these lot who are above us who have found their way up there. I'm not doing it to rub it in, but genuinely, I never thought in my lifetime, genuinely, that we'd have this badge on our sleeve, even if it's for one season. There's no reason why with the right investment, there is no reason why you shouldn't be up there either. So I'd rather you boys be up there than the likes of Tottenham anyway. I've mentioned them enough times. So let's hope that this is the right time, because the amount of times that you've been fobbed off with the wrong owners, and I mean, we had bad owners come in just a few years back. It's about time you got the right, and you're a good club, you got a good stock of fans, and you know, it's two fingers up to all these clubs that have just found their way up a generic way. You know, I've never wanted a club to fall flat as much as I want Man City to in a few weeks' time when they start doing all the chasing and stuff. I don't think they will, because I think they've got too much power. But it's up to the likes of your Villas, your Evertons, the people who have been there from the start to, you know, really go at this together. So let's hope you get the right investors in and you can get up there.
Good man. Cheers, mate.
Yeah. And I hope you do well. You've been through a lot of shit. We've been through a lot of shit. Sometimes going through shit makes you appreciate the good stuff a little bit more. And you've got, like you say, you've got that badge on your arm. You're where you want to be this season. I hope you have a good season, mate. I really do. I really do hope you have a shit game when we play.
Genuinely hope you guys get climbing.
I want Onana to be crap. I want Dinier to be crap. I want Barkley to come on and get red carded. I want Villa to be fuming with the players just for that game, and you can get back to normal. But yeah, I do want to do you. I really do. I want to smash Villa tomorrow, and that's why I've said 3-1. And he said 2-0, so he's giving it large as well. What a game it's going to be tomorrow, everybody. Dropping the banner now. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back straight after game, instant reaction. So one of us is going to, either Nick's going to be really happy or we're going to be really happy. One of us is going to be